Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me today is this brother that's coming up out of the Dallas, Texas area. He is a songwriter, he's a singer, he's the ultimate performer, but most importantly, this brother's a man of God, and he is taking time out of his busy schedule to jump on board with us on the podcast today to share a little bit of his journey, kind of tell us what it's been like for him and the different challenges that he's had to face and how he's persevered and overcome those challenges in hopes of inspiring and encouraging and uplifting somebody else that just might need to hear a little bit of something to give them hope, to give them some perspective that, no matter what we go through, it doesn't mean that it's the end of your story, that there's always a way to persevere and make your way through. So this brother already, even in his younger years of life, has already experienced just that. And he's going to bless you with his story in that regard. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you Dallas's own Will Beasy. Will Beasy, my brother, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, boss man. I appreciate it being here.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So before we jump off into our segments, I would like, of course, to give you an opportunity to share with our audience a little bit about yourself. Again, where you're from, what you do, and anything else you'd like to drop on them. Just give them a taste of who Will Beasy is as we enter into this podcast session today.
Definitely. So, like boss man just said, my name is Will Beasy. I'm an R&B artist out of Dallas, Texas. I started professionally around 2020. I would say February 2020, around that era. But my genre, my main goal of making music is to not only, bless your ears with a beautiful sound, but it's also to make a positive impact. I want to be able to just be that person that can be able to relate to whatever you're going on, whatever you have going on, and just have a positive message within, everything that's going on. I know R&B can be sometimes considered secular in a case, in most cases, but I want to be you know, the guy in the middle that's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a secular motion. Let's just talk about life. The way it goes. It just so happens to be my style of singing. So I've been able to I have the privilege of being able to perform in different areas in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. Most popular spot that I perform at is Port David's Pub in Dallas, Texas, close to downtown area. But I've had my first official festival this past year in March. It was in Austin, Texas, so I was so grateful to have that. But since then, I've just been kind of growing my brand, growing myself, perfecting my craft, marketing with people, and being able to, connect and enjoy just different memories that we have. So that's just a little bit about myself.
All right, man. I love it. I love it. And again, you're trying to find your unique niche and just being an original version of who you are. And like I said, at the top of the show, you keeping God first in your life. So that even makes it even that much more
Definitely.
special. And one thing you didn't take an opportunity to brag on yourself a little bit about is I know you had recently had an opportunity to even audition for American Idol.
Oh yeah, yes sir. So I had the privilege a couple of weeks ago to audition for American Idol, and that was a really dope experience. Just being able to talk to the producers, and it was unique because it was a virtual audition. So with that, I had like a Zoom meeting. It felt like I had like a little Zoom interview at first, but I got look comfortable. I got to audition, sing some cover songs as well as an original song of my own, and the producer liked it. Hopefully, I hear back from him. If not, I'm grateful to even audition, be a part of it. So that was just something recently, um, and I'm just excited for whatever's ahead.
Man, that is absolutely dope. Like you said, I probably telling my age a little bit, but I was around when season one came out, and just all the shows that I've seen over the years, with American Idol, and to find this is the first time, to be honest, I've ever spoken to someone who's actually auditioned for them.
Oh
So
wow!
that just speaks, volume to what your talent and skill set is, my brother.
Yes,
So,
sir.
again, it's an opportunity to get yourself out there, and I think I'm confident that God's gonna continue to open up more and more opportunities for people to get a feel for your vibe and your music, and again, just how you're using that as a pathway, your gift to speak on life, and hopefully again through your music to be of encouragement and inspiration to people. So that's wonderful, man. So
Yes, sir. I appreciate
um, I want to build on that though a little bit more. Thank you for sharing what you have so far. But I want to go a little bit more in depth in the sense that, with any journey that we go on, with any life experiences that we deal with, you can't really tell the full perspective of it all without starting from the beginning. And so that's what I want to
Yes,
do
sir.
with you. So with that
Always love
said,
beginnings.
if you would take us back to your upbringing, to your childhood. Again, you're a product of the Dallas, Texas area. Everybody that's listening to this may not be from Dallas. They may not know what that experience is like. So if you would share with us, what was it like for you growing up here in Dallas, and that includes fond memories that you have in your coming up, as well as if there were some challenges that you've had to deal with along the way that you're comfortable in sharing with us, that that were essential and critical to your early years of growth and development. Please share that as well. Kind of take us through that experience for you coming up here in Dallas.
Definitely, definitely. So, like you said, I'm from Dallas, Texas, specifically West Dallas. If you are familiar with the Dallas area, West Dallas growing up in the past, 10, 15 years has been kind of more so in a rural state, that kind of like the ghetto in a sense, just kind of the rough area of Dallas. But with that, not only I grew up there, I've also grew up with a blended family as well. So my mom she had a divorce. I want to say when I was around 4, and from there she was blessed enough to find a man of God and grow with that and have and they all so happen to have children within that. So it just grew into a blended family. I got step brothers and sisters that I don't call step brothers and sisters. They're more so just regular. Growing up, it's we ain't got no step brothers sisters. That's your sister over there. Like so um, I I have I'm one of 5 brothers and 5 sisters, and I am the middle child. Blended family, like I said, but it's a lot of kids from what I heard. It was never a dull memory. I would say it always kind of more so learning as we grow. Everybody's just kind of learning as we go and as we grow. Um, Me being the middle child, it was I would say interesting. Um, just kind of like seeing the perspective of the my older siblings, doing what they do. My older sibling is I want to say 32 right now. So at the time when I first met him, I was about like 6 or 5. So just watching him growing up, watching my older siblings grow up, and then looking at my younger siblings, and just kind of analyzing myself. Like, okay, I'm the middle child. I got a big example for my younger siblings. But as we grew up, we kind of grew up in the church more so. My mom, she was the kind of the head of the music group as far as the church, and so with that, there came a lot of you know you got some solos that you got to do, some church solos. You got some Easter skits, Christmas plays, and musicals and stuff like that. But it also essentially helped with my personal journey with God. Just being able to we had a blended family, but still, I still was able to experience what I was able to experience personally. Just the struggle of, oh, I gotta go with my dad's next week. Or I have to, you know, I have to talk to my mom about like playing in a football league with my dad. Certain things like that, I wouldn't necessarily say it was kind of a struggle. It was something that was unique for me because I wasn't necessarily used to it. Like I said, my parents they divorced at when I was around the age of 4, so it wasn't really something that it obviously impacted me growing up. But being 4 years old, you don't really just pay mind to it. It's just like oh, okay, my dad's over here, my mom's over here. When can I go see my dad? When can I go see my mom? And with that, it was more so an adjustment of seeing that compared to going to school and you see your friends or peers with both siblings in the same or both parents in the same household. um, I would say it was definitely an adjustment with that, but it was never a struggle. I can honestly say it was never a struggle. um, just going throughout the day and just living my life within that. um, let's see, like I said, we it's hard to have a dull memory when you have over 9 siblings. So there will be a lot of moments where we going to the park. We finna play sports. I got five brothers, so like we teaming up, like the oldest and the two oldest versus the three youngest. Like we teaming up, we playing sports. It was always a interaction. Every day was an interaction. Every day was just some type of memory, and so with that was just always enjoyable. That was pretty much impactful within my personal life because it helped me to understand, just people just a little bit more. Like everybody's, me having all my siblings, we're not all the same. We all have different personalities, and so within that, it just helped me to adjust with knowing who the person is in particular, but also just marking it with other people. Like, hey, how's it going? Like, being able to chop it up, talking with them, um, that type of motion. But that I would say that's pretty much my childhood growing up. Blended family. We have had a good amount of siblings. We was able to just kind of that we were still able. My parents were still able to provide, regardless of how we felt or what was going on or what in reality was, and that was a blessing within itself. So, um, yeah, that's pretty much.
I love that. I love that. I mean, again, it's always great to hear, the close knit family situations where the siblings are all just kind of interacting and enjoying one another. And even though, like you said, it was a blended situation, the fact you made it a point to emphasize that, hey, yeah, they were technically my step brothers and sisters, but we didn't play it like that. They my brothers, it was,
Exactly.
this is, it's almost like back in the day, coming up, for me, it's like, you had people that you called your cousins. They weren't really your blood cousins, but they was
Right.
your play cousins, but they was cousins. It was
Family
like,
friends.
right,
Yeah.
right. So it was just like that, and just to even hear you talk about being outdoors and enjoying, being out in the park and playing games and doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, you just don't see a lot of that anymore. Even especially in these days and times, it's just people like kind of to themselves in the house. So
To
it's
themselves.
clear that you
Yeah.
had that family dynamic
My
and that
brothers made sure
community.
like we finna go outside for
Right,
sure. Like we
right,
finna go play. We finna do something, but we ain't sitting in the house.
right. I
That's one
love
thing
that.
that they emphasize that I appreciate for sure.
I love that. Now, you did mention in sharing this part of your story, you were talking about being in church a lot and the different things that you had an opportunity to perhaps to be either exposed to or a part of. Is this where the beginning of your passion for music starts? Is it in church, or where exactly? When did you start to know that okay, this music thing is just more than just something that I just enjoy bopping to from time to time, but I'm like feeling it like I want to do something with this. When did that start to
Right.
arise?
That's a good question, boss. Honestly, I would have to say it was probably when, just growing up in the church in general, we would have like just kind of different songs that we were required to sing, but it would just be times me personally, I would just kind of venture out, explore until that what I said earlier, like the secular music, just kind of seeing that like, oh man, like who is Jasmine Sullivan? Like wow, she's singing, she's going crazy with the runs, like I feel like I can sound kind of familiar with it. I can sing. I feel like I can relate to that. I like that a lot. So like within that, and just me, like I said, growing up in the church and then being able to venture out and explore the secular motion of music, um, I would I would like to say that I it kind of got me started at a younger age as far as doing music. I knew within that, you know, God definitely had a calling as far as me making music, as far as singing, as far as just doing things, as far music wise. I felt like He gave me that passion a little earlier, and so when it after a while, within growing up in the church, I became a little bit more comfortable and confident when it came to doing required solos and learning these different songs because I was able to sing it the way that I wanted to. Like, when you're learning the song, it's it's kind of essential. Like, learning how it's supposed to be sung. But
Mm-hmm.
once you learn that, it's different because now you know it. It's like now you can kind of freestyle with it. You can kind of master it. You can kind of do it how you want to do it. And so within that, that kind of gave me the opportunity a lot of the times to just kind of freestyle with the music and make it my own. And so I would definitely to answer your question, I would definitely say growing up in the church was what definitely impacted me is as far as starting to sing and create my own sound and do music and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And again, I love the fact that you were able to marry the two. It's like, okay, my musical foundation begins in church, but then I also, again, was given that pathway to put my own little spin to it, to where it's original from me. It's in my flow. But again, of course, obviously in the space of church, you're still praising God in the process, just adding your own flavor to it. And I think in
Yeah,
these days and times, that's really important from the standpoint of just even reaching people in the church. We've come to a time in life where you can't just necessarily do it the what I'll call the old fashioned traditional way. You have to be willing to be creative a little bit with it, to think outside of the box. Now, yeah, we still want to be respectful, obviously, and
oh
and
yeah,
and have that reverence, but nothing wrong with adding a little flavor, adding a little something unique to it, to again to reach and meet people where they are. Give them an opportunity to want to learn more about God, even if it's through, even if the initial hook, the initial draw is just the energy in the praise and worship that you have an opportunity to partake in. If
exactly.
that gets you in the door, and then now when that pastor steps forward and gives a good word or whatever, perhaps you've opened up an opportunity, a pathway, whether you realize it or not, for somebody to learn about Christ and what that relationship is like. So, it's God has a very strategic and unique way for us to tap into our gifts to be used accordingly, in service. And you've given a perfect example of how that can be utilized in that fashion. So that's good stuff, man. I love that. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. 'Cause I think a lot of the
absolutely.
times, I'm sorry, I think a lot of the times, when it comes to like, gospel music and church music itself, it's kind of we limit the style of music. I feel like we limit it in a, like you said, more so in a traditional way. But I feel like at the end of the day, we're not really showing like the full entity of what God is.
Hmm.
When we just keep it like limited. We sing, a particular song, keep it kind of straightforward. I don't really know how to word it, straightforward, but like I feel like God has given us and has called us and has challenged us, as Christians and people that have relationships personally with Him, to like spice it up, like like make it something different, make it something that people can relate to at the end of the day, because it's
Hmm.
with the world and everything that's going on, like it's I feel like and this is me personally speaking, I feel like a lot of times it's hard for people to relate to other people, based on just what they feel like is going on, or how everything is portrayed by maybe the higher ups or everything that the leaders of this world. And so I feel like God has given us just this call, and even outside of music, to just spice it up. Spice it up when it comes to representing me. You're an ambassador of God, so like that's already a given. So why not make it your own? And
I
so
love that. Yeah. Yeah, that the spice it up is a perfect example of that. I mean, because part of the reason why we go to church, in part, is to get fed. That's part of it,
yeah,
and so, you think about getting fed. When you think about a meal, I don't want, the meal could look beautiful, but nobody wants it if it has no flavor to it, no seasoning. You just cooked it up
whew,
and put it on the plate. We'd like a little taste to that. Make it,
yeah,
make it a little bit easier to digest, to make me desire more of it.
exactly.
So, if you can spice it up a little bit, not overdoing it. You don't want it too hot. You don't want it too bland. You don't want it too,
Too salty. Yeah,
too salty. You don't want it too sweet. Give it the nice
keep it.
blend, spice it up. Just so every bite I take of it, I'm like, I'm enjoying the bite, but I'm craving more. And it's the same way with God's word and experiencing praise and worship and all of the things that come along with that. So you're absolutely spot on with what you just said. And again, I'm glad that you had that opportunity to, in the very early stages of your, involvement with music, and how you've plateaued off of that, and built more and more, and now taking it to, new heights, in terms of producing music and writing music, and just, again, putting your own personal stamp on it. So love that.
Yes,
Love
sir.
that. So, again, as we're going through our journeys, you've kind of shared with us that beginning steps, those beginnings, processes that and experiences that you've been through. But as I'm sure there's eventually comes a point in time that even if most of life, or for the when you think about those memories and things of that sort, if it's all been good, it's been relatively smooth sailing and whatnot, we know that from time to time there comes up situations, circumstances, moments of adversity that trip us up a little bit, to the degree that it feels a little bit weighty. It's the burden of it all is a little bit more heavier than what we're accustomed to. Maybe even to the degree that we're actually questioning, in maybe in a rare moment in time, that I don't know how I'm going to get through this particular situation that I'm up against, this particular obstacle, this particular barrier that I'm faced with. I don't know what to do with this. I don't have the answer like I usually do. I don't have the strength or the courage or the motivation to move through this situation like I have been in the past. And I'm feeling helpless. I'm feeling vulnerable. I don't know what to do. So what I'd like, if you would please share with us about a time when you found yourself in one of those situations, didn't know what to do, didn't know how it was going to work out, didn't know how you were going to persevere in that moment. Kind of walk us through what that journey was like for you, and what was ultimately necessary for you to overcome that situation. We know you did because you're here,
Right.
so please do, if you would, kind of walk us through what that circumstance was for you.
Definitely, yes, sir. So, like I said, within my siblings and us, growing up, we were always outside. We were always active. We were always playing sports. But my favorite sport in particular was football. And so with that, as I grown up, I really became, pretty accustomed to football, and the ins and the outs. That became one of my major passions. I would say, more transparently, more than music. And so with that, I had the opportunity to play, varsity football in high school, and um, finish out with high accolades. And my full goal, my ultimate goal within that was like, I want to go to the league. I want to go to the NFL. I want to play professionally, and that's kind of like almost the plateau of how I wanted my life to be. So within that, I was blessed, like I said, to have the accolades within high school. All state type. I had the opportunity to play college football, and so within that, I felt like that was my true passion. I'm gonna play college ball. I really want to do this. Like, I prepared mentally, physically, for the preparation. Like, what I needed to do to make it to that next level of playing football. And with God's will, I was able to do that. I was able to play college football, and that was, for me. I thought that was kind of like, almost the end all be all, in a sense. Like, this was kind of ultimately what I wanted to do coming out of middle school. Um, and so I'm thinking, like, everything's gonna be all right now. Like, everything's good. Like, I'm gonna take my family out the hood when I make it. Like, we gonna do this, we gonna do that, like, yada yada. Um, Obviously that did not work out like I planned it. Um, within my, I want to say, my second year of playing college ball, um, I had problems with my grades, and so within that, that takes the full effect as far as playing football. I don't know if anybody's heard this before. If, like, you don't pass, you don't play. No pass, no play. And that was kind of like a huge shock for me. Um, and so within that, I wasn't able to play football anymore because of my grades, and then I had to leave the school. I was staying on campus at the time, and so after hearing I couldn't, go back to school, I had to, come back home, to the parents. I had that moment of, like, man, like, this is really it. Like, I failed. I failed the mission, whatever the I considered the mission to be. Um, I have to go back home. I feel like I gotta start over. Like, it was just kind of like the going down the slope, in a sense. Um, and to be transparent, that was kind of like a struggle for a while for me. Just getting back to myself, not necessarily like as an athlete, but just as a person. Like, I had to I had to understand that football wasn't solely my life as much as I wanted it to be. Um, because I did make it a huge, huge part of my life. And so, like with that happening, it just kind of broke my heart pretty much. It was like a man, like it felt like a breakup.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go, I gotta go back home, gotta do this, gotta get a job now, gotta work, take community college, and things to that nature. And so, um, as I did that, and as I'm, currently, just going through it, adjusting, I realized it's really not. It's not hard. It's not hard like I'm making it. It's not. That wasn't the end all be all. That was just an opportunity that God had given me. That was just a door that He had given me, and it so happened in that moment to close. But that doesn't mean that that's all the doors. That just from now I'm realizing like there's obviously like more of there's more to life that God has for us as far as our calling. It's not just one simple minded thing in that sense. And so within me being able to work and go to community college and just staying back home, I actually had a personal experience. It was a spiritual experience, I would say. And moral of the story, it was kind of like where it felt like it was a dream, but it just like it was one of those was like it wasn't a dream, but you felt like it was a dream. And I had that experience, I had that moment, and at the end of it, I heard a voice in my head, so vivid, so plain. He said, "Your voice is a weapon to defeat deception."
Mm.
And he said it twice, and I got chills. I was sweating. I was like, "What's going on?" I grabbed my Bible and I wrote it down. To this day, I have it written down in my Bible right now. But he told me, "Your voice is a weapon to defeat deception." And so within that moment, um, it kind of changed my way of thinking, my way of living, in a sense. It's like the way I'm starting to think now is like what I say impacts a lot of things. What I say and what I do impacts a lot of things. And so within that kind of that mantra, in a sense, that God gave to me as a ultimatum, pretty much like this is what I've called you to do, and it's not necessarily music, but it's just more so the impact. Like I've given you that calling to impact others, to reach to me, and so um, to this day I'll never forget that experience. But within that, that was just kind of like a that was definitely a life changing event to where it was like, okay, all right, as much as I love football. To this day, I love football. Um, this isn't the end all be all. There's more to it, and I have to acknowledge that, and I have to acknowledge the fact that God has given me an opportunity to acknowledge that. And so, um, within that, it's just more so me getting in depth with impacting other people, whether that be just marketing with people, talking with people, chopping it up. Um, Kind of sidebar. The job that I work at right now is like it's I'm in a position to where I can talk to people and you know possibly market with people and things of that nature. And so I feel like this is the epitome of what God wanted in a sense. He just wanted us, or me personally, in this certain situation, to impact others with my voice, because He knows that my voice will help others reach to Him. And so, um, long story short, boss man, that was more so a kind of like the humble beginning for me, in a sense, just acknowledging that going through that journey of football, and just for I guess a backtrack fact. My dad, he was All American in football. When it came to high school, he was all state. He had offers from every school, and so I looked up to him a lot, and I wanted to epitomize that in a sense, and so that kind of is where that motive came from. But fast forward, I'm looking at all this, and not necessarily football is nothing, but like there's more to it than football. There's more to it than the extracurricular, the regular life motion. Um, it's so that's what I can say. It was my humble beginning.
Wow, wow. Of course, I appreciate your transparency and sharing that. And what keeps sticking in my head is what you shared about that defining moment, my voice is a weapon to defeat deception. That's a
I'll never
powerful,
forget that. I
that's a
might tattoo
powerful,
that on me. Like,
that is powerful. But again, that's just how that's God has his own unique ways of moving. And like you said, it felt like a dream, but I knew it wasn't. I knew this was different. And God wanted to make sure that you knew it was different because he didn't just say it to you once, he said it to you twice. you
twice,
know,
yes.
it was like, just in case you didn't hear me the first time, this is what
Right?
I
Do you hear
said
me,
to
son?
you.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
I mean, that is a very powerful experience, and I'm just glad that you were open to receive that. And I think you wouldn't have been open had God not allowed for what you thought was the most important thing to just sort of kind of blow up on you. I know you said you were very good at the sport. You had these dreams of wanting to play ball in the NFL and all of that, like many young people out here wanting to do things like
Right.
that in various sports. And, but God used that moment to navigate it in such a way to where he could get your full and undivided attention to share with you, hey, football is cool and you're good at it, but that's not ultimately the path that you need to be on. And
Exactly.
let you know what that is. And even to the point that you said, it wasn't just about using your voice just to sing. We know, that you can sing. I mean, I've had a chance to listen to some of your stuff, and even if somebody's listening to this hasn't had a chance to, I can tell you right now, if you listen to any of his music, it's going to be clear the brother can sing. It's just, but even to that, he said your voice, So I'm thinking you have an opportunity, and you even talked about that, like with your work situation. You have an opportunity to talk to people and pour into them. You have an opportunity. There may be some other opportunities that you're going to have that you don't even know about yet. I think just to use the football analogy, I'm sure you've been watching the whole, Deion Sanders,
Oh yeah.
moment. And one of the things that is oftentimes spoken about him, we already know what talent he is on the football field. But the thing that's really highlighted in this moment in time is his communication, the way he talks
Right.
to his players, to make them feel empowered and encouraged, even when they're having that low moment on the football field. How he's, instead of being abrasive and just
Yeah, the head coach.
dogging them out like you typically see, he's flipping the script in a completely different way, and it's throwing people off. At least the people who don't
Yep.
know about who God is and how He can work through you. And so when you spoke to that, I was even thinking of that. Like, I wouldn't even discount you not having any connection to football. You may even be in a situation like that where you're giving a motivational talk or any. I'm just speaking this stuff out into existence. But I'm like, going back to that
It's funny
statement that
story,
you
boss.
said. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's a funny story that you even mentioned Deion Sanders in general. So, ironically enough, Coach Prime, he used to have a school out in Dallas called Prime Prep Academy, and I so happened to be one of the first students that went to his school at that time, and so I was able to kind of interact and encounter Coach Prime at that moment, and I can definitely vouch and say now that he's always been the same. He's always been the same. So
That's awesome,
looking at it
man.
now, it's just like I'm not surprised. It's just a blessing to see the impact.
And I've had a chance. I had a chance to meet him one time in person at a friend of mine invited me to her church. They were having like a men's ministry event, and he was the guest
Mm,
speaker at that event. And as you
okay.
stated, I mean, to get the chance to just sit there and listen to him, you didn't feel like you were like it was this flashy superstar moment. It was like you was just one brother talking to another brother, just pouring into you and being encouraging. And just like you said, your experience was just like we've been seeing on television. It's all the same. Nothing has changed. And then even more so with that, just like we talked about you personally earlier, he just puts his own personal spin on it that makes him be the prime that he
Right.
is. So
Exactly.
that's like the extra the flavor that we talked about, the seasoning that we talked about. He just
Right.
has the Dion seasoning that he puts on it that makes him uniquely who he is. But the underlying message is that his voice, he's using that voice to impact, to change, to counteract the deceptions and to defy the negative perceptions that have been out there for so long in sports. And again, you have an opportunity again through your music, but also God didn't just say, to you in that moment that you had, your voice in music. He left it very wide open, which lets me know, as you've already indicated, that hey, I don't even have to be limited in that space. Like, yep, my music can do it, but I can also have that voice be used, for the benefit of God's, advancing His kingdom and connecting with the people that I need to connect with, just in other motivational spaces. Even my small platform, somebody gets to hear you say what you've already said. You have an opportunity to be in position to bless people. When you were on Rachel's show, opportunity to bless people. It was bigger than the music. It's all about you in the sense of how God is using you. And when I say it's all about you, and the way God is using you as that vessel, to pour into other people. So that's big stuff. And I don't want to. I'm taking the time to spend on it because I want anybody that's listening to this to not water that moment down. What you spoke to, that's a very powerful thing, and we have to be mindful and open to those signs, to the way that God will talk to us. We don't want to miss those opportunities where He's
Right.
connecting with. He's trying to let us know this is what the path is for you. This is what best for you. I know what feels comfortable. I know what you used to, but what I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
That
there's a
part.
gift that I've placed in you that's uniquely for you. And I want to see you do nothing more but to use it at its highest levels, impacting as many as you can. So I'm seeing that just in, like I said in our early conversation, it's already manifesting itself, and that's a wonderful thing. And I definitely encourage you to just keep on riding that out and just letting them continue to use you accordingly. So thank you for sharing that part of your story.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you find yourself in situations where you're facing adversity, challenging moments in time, it doesn't even have to be anything super big. It could just be a day to day, just regular stuff that we deal with. I'm curious to know from you, what process do you like to go through? What works for you that helps you to deal with challenging and difficult times? What is that regiment that you follow that helps you to be in the best space possible to handle whatever it is that you're facing? If you would share that with us.
Definitely. Yes, sir. So, me personally, just having a personal relationship with Source, with God, um, I've learned to be a lot more transparent with how I talk to Him, um, because I'm learning that He wants us to be transparent with how we come to Him. Like He wants us to come as you are. So within that, He, I mean, there's no point of sugarcoating. There's no point of hiding anything when He knows exactly who and how you are. Um, so within that, I'm learning to just have a transparent conversation. Like I will be talking or chopping it up with you, honestly. Like just telling him what's going on in my mind, because I mean, I just feel like that's what he wants. And so within that, within me knowing that, within me learning that, I kind of I kind of have this mantra or this mindset of like it could be worse. It really could be worse. I heard this one saying that God, gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, and something to that nature. And so within that, I always keep that in mind, because I know that this isn't the end. Within me knowing that this isn't the end, it gets better. There's something that needs to be learned within this segment of struggle, so that when I come to a place of, it's a little better. I understand the in depthness of everything, really, just the in depthness of why I had to go through that struggle and why I was able to overcome that. Obviously, it was all because of the relationship that I had with God and me being able to, call out His name and depend on Him fully. Um, and obviously, that can be easier said than done on some days. Um, but within me being able to do that, it almost in a sense gives me like this like a subtle peace that I don't really just kind of understand like that.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm still learning, but it gives me a peace of knowing that you know not only does it get worse, you're just fine, you're breathing, you still have a calling. There's still a lot of life that's going on that I need to learn, that we need to learn. Um, and that's there's still time. You still need to go. There's still time to go. Um, the goal at the end of the day is to impact others and please God. And so within that, uh, it's kind of a motivation in a sense.
Hmm.
With me, currently going through what I go through, and just knowing like, yeah, you're going through this, but your calling is more impactful than your struggle. So within
Mm.
that, like, you know, I'm called to do this, and even though I'm going through this, it's mild. It's something that we'll probably laugh at later on, in life. So it's something that I can overcome. And so that's something that I just kind of more so and continue to have that mindset of like not only giving it all to God, but just letting it go and keep going.
Yes, and again, man, once again, I love that approach. It's clear, it's a clear testament to your maturity and your walk with Christ. As far as, yeah, because what you're telling everybody is like, hey, yeah, we're gonna go through some stuff, but you're not saying I wish it doesn't happen. You're actually embracing the journey part of it. You're embracing the struggle and just saying, you know what, it doesn't always feel good. It's not always timely for me. It's not necessarily what if I had it my way, it's not what I would like to go through. But I understand who's controlling everything. I understand who's running the show. I know who I can call on when I am going through this stuff. And at the end of the day, I have a calling on my life, and that calling is way more important than the struggle, than what I call struggle. And at the end of the day, if the struggle is truly bigger than me, more than I can handle, I have someone in place relationally that I'm connected with, which we know is God, that will give me that strength, that will be my support to get me through that time as I'm working towards that calling, that ultimate end goal, that vision that he's placed in my life. I got to keep going, because what the enemy wants is that when these stumbling blocks come across your way, the enemy wants you to be distracted by that. He wants you to get discouraged, wants you to get sidetracked, so that you stop doing what you're doing. It's like when you go audition or you have an opportunity to perform somewhere and something comes up and they don't pick you or whatever. If you weren't careful, you let that moment of rejection, that no, oh, I just need to end this. I just need to find something else. No, there's going to be a whole bunch of people who say no. There's going to be a whole bunch of people who turn away from you, or don't believe in what it is that you've been called to do. But it doesn't matter what the opinions of everybody else is. What ultimately matters is what God says about it. And so while it's great to have a whole army of supporters and fans and all the likes and followers and all that good stuff, at the end of the day, is if what I'm doing in the road that I'm traveling on is the one that God has called for me to do, I'm gonna be okay. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep grinding it out, and in the end, when that moment arrives, everything that I need and then some is going to be available to me. I will be blessed, and I'll be a blessing. So it's all about that obedience and that persistence and that resilience to keep pushing through, whether you have a crowd of people behind you or if you just got one person cheering you on along the way. It doesn't matter. You got to keeping on. So I love that approach that you have about that, because it keeps you in a position to have everything in perspective and that right frame of mind that you need to be in what is otherwise a tough journey that we call life. I mean, it's just tough. Everything is not going to flow out easily and smoothly as we would desire it to, and that's okay, because it's an opportunity for us to grow and develop and become better versions of ourselves. So love that. I love that, man. So if you had a chance to speak to, the younger version of you, I mean, you shared a lot about your early coming up. If you had a chance in particular to talk to that guy that, you know, he had a dream, whether it was in sports or some other pathway, and for one reason or another, what you thought was to be didn't play out the way that you hoped it would, and you're feeling a little down on yourself. You're feeling defeated. You may be feeling like a failure. You feel like you disappointed yourself and other people, and you're trying to figure out, okay, where do I go from here? I've had this major, what I see as a major setback in my life of something that I just knew. I was just so certain that it was going to be a different way. And like the reference that you made, and now it feels like a breakup, there's this
Right.
bad breakup. Like, how do I recover? How do I bounce back from that? What would be your words of wisdom to speak, whether it's to the younger version of you or just to somebody who's in that moment right now that they're feeling defeated? How would you say is the path that they need to follow, the things that they need to think about, the perspective that they need to have to get out of that funk of feeling defeated and be on the road of that snapback, that bounce back, and really opening themselves up and positioning themselves to receive that next level of enlightenment, that next level of encouragement to move forward and on, move on from what has happened and realize what's still ahead. What would be those words of wisdom that you would have for them?
Definitely. So, if I was talking to my younger self right now and to the future generation and the people that hears me right now, I would definitely look myself in the eye and say, "Hey, bro, this is not it. This is not the end. Like this is not the end all be all. Like you still have a calling, you still have a purpose in life, whether it be what you want it to be or not. At the end of the day, the person that created you has given a calling for you to where you have the opportunity to understand what it is. Even if you don't fully grasp in your calling, you have an opportunity to understand what God has called for you to do in general. And so within that, man, be open minded about that. Be open minded about the fact that, you know, no, you wasn't able to have that opportunity, or know that they said no about this or that. Be open minded about everything else, because the worst that they said has happened. They just said no. So now you have an opportunity to do, move forward positively. You have the opportunity to go somewhere else. Like you have an opportunity, you have more options, you have other options within that. Don't limit yourself with not necessarily what you want to do, but what you feel like is the end all be all for yourself. Sometimes in life, there is a cause for us to be uncomfortable with what's going on in order to be comfortable later on. And so right now, it may seem very, very uncomfortable for you because this is not what you wanted. But this is more so the adjustment. And if you are open minded, if you're willing to accept that, then there's going to be more positive opportunities for you that you can take advantage of. And so never see anything as a loss or, you know, a L. It's always a lesson. That's what I'm learning myself. Never take You're not taking a loss, you're taking a lesson. So
Mm-hmm.
within that, you need to learn what what happened, what just happened right now, to where it wasn't what you expected. And so once you figure that out, you need to figure out how to adjust, how to move forward, how to mentally move forward, how to be just open minded within that aspect. Like, okay, that's cool. I thank you for saying no, because now I have an opportunity to get another option within something else that might not necessarily be what you want, but it's something that you need guaranteed. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's my words of encouragement. Like, stay open minded, keep moving forward. Understand that this is not the end all be all. This is just a lesson that you need to learn. Because if you don't learn, you're gonna keep going through the same lesson.
Exactly, exactly. And like I said, it's a change in the way we think. We have to reprogram how we think about these moments. Quit calling it a loss, but call it a lesson. Refer to it as an opportunity. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Be grateful. One of the things you said that I've been embracing for a little while now is start celebrating those no's. Every day when I go into prayer, I talk about that with God. That's one of the things I talk about is not only thank you for the places and the people and the platforms that you allow me access to, but thank you for the people and the places and the platforms that you totally block me from. Because
Yeah, thank you
I
for
have
the
to
closed
understand that
doors.
you just saved me from something. You kept me from a landmine that you were able to see or know some things about that situation that I didn't have a way of knowing, or maybe my blinders would have been on to it. You kept me from something. I get to the point now where I'm likely to celebrate the no a little bit more than I even do the yes, because you again, you either save me from something, some imminent danger, or even if it wasn't dangerous, you perhaps save me from settling, from taking less in a situation because it
That
looked like it
responsibility.
was a great opportunity. They looked like that they were a good person to connect with. There was something, and they may have been okay, but the God that we serve is not okay with just okay. He wants you to experience great and excellent. Not just okay, not just average. So sometimes that no is just so you don't again take low when you should be taking high. So you know I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's so important to realize. And it's just, again, it's just a mindset shift that we have to, and that helps us to navigate, particularly during what is otherwise in our minds a difficult or challenging time. It's an opportunity for us to turn that L into a lesson, to be, again, better versions of ourselves, to be more equipped, to handle what is to come. Because as I'm sure you probably heard this, the higher the level, the higher the devil. The more you elevate, the more you escalate. If you thought it was tough when you were just scraping the bottom, what you think is getting ready to happen when you start, blowing it up a little bit? Let your music career take off. Let you start really being in the spotlight and on the scene. The haters that come out, the adversaries that come out, the people that are going to try to dismiss and distract you and make you feel like you can't go any further. You have to be ready for that. And these journey moments, these challenging moments are what helps you to build that endurance. That helps you to build what I like to call that your spiritual core and your spiritual muscles and all of that. So you can be ready to withstand that spiritual warfare that you're about to go up against, because that's just, some people like to dismiss the presence and existence of that, but it's a very real thing. And some of those forces, some of those enemies you can see, and some of them you can't. And some of them might be people that you thought were in your corner, and they weren't all along. They were just waiting for the right time to try to tear you down. And so you got to be ready for all of that. And God has his own unique way of equipping us to be ready to perform, to be ready to step up, so that we don't fret, we don't worry, we don't stress, we don't freak out. We just keep that calm, that mellowness. Okay, I see we got this to deal with. Let me take a moment to process. Okay, now that I'm pausing, tell me what you want me to do. Tell me how to navigate this. I'm not going to pretend like I know. Just tell me, give me the direction, and you follow that, and everything is going to be all right. So good stuff, man. Good words of wisdom with that. So before I let you go, my brother, I want to take an opportunity to celebrate you, to love on you, to acknowledge you, to appreciate you. So please, if you got anything in the works right now, anything we need to know about that we can do just that for you, again, celebrate, acknowledge, applaud, pray over, all of that good stuff. Tell us, man, what can we expect out of Will Beasley? What's coming up for you, man, that we need to know about and be tapping into?
Yes, sir. So, like we kind of mentioned earlier, I did have my audition for American Idol. So, you just praying for positive feedback on that, and possibly a phone call or email back pretty soon. Um, just to build off of that, I'm currently working on my first like actual album. I dropped my first EP. I want to say March of 2020. And so within that, that's out on all platforms. If y'all ever want to check that out, it's called Internal Disclosures. Um, but it was really more so me being able to experience emotions, and it was my first time being able to express it, being able to express everything that I just kind of felt when it came to love, when it came to life, when it came to loss. And so um, I don't want to I don't want to spoil it or spill it, but the album I'm working on currently is just going to be me more so being in depth with my emotions, just kind of me displaying to y'all how I've been able to control my emotions, and I can be able to display it in certain settings and things like that. And so, um, I want to tell y'all the name of it. I'm gonna give y'all some time, but I would say it's gonna. I would either have the name within the next couple months or so, or I might just drop it the end of this year. But definitely expect an album from Will Beasley. I got more shows, more events coming up, so just kind of expect that more so in October, and just keep me in your thoughts and your prayers. I appreciate just having this opportunity. This is my second interview ever, so I'm, if y'all couldn't tell, I was a little nervous, but after a while, Mr. Roberts, I appreciate you just for allowing me to, be comfortable and transparent with my speech and my thoughts. And yeah, that's really what I got going on so far. Just more singles, more music on the way, more events, album coming soon.
Man, that's awesome, man. And we just, again, congratulations to what you've already accomplished and what is to be accomplished. We definitely praying over you, man, that whatever opportunities that are out there, that if they're meant for you, if they're called for you to have, that God is going to navigate you accordingly, whether we're talking about American Idol or we're talking about some other stages and platforms that are out there, man. So I'm excited for you, and for our audience who's listening in, check him out, Will Beasy. He said he's on all platforms. Of course, I know he's on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Check him out. Tap in to see what he's all about. And of course, for those of you who are listening and you're local in the Dallas area, if he's got some upcoming shows or things of that nature, please come out and support. I would love to have an opportunity to check you out one day. Maybe make it a little date night with the wife and come check you out and see how it goes, man. So
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you, man, and just praying and wishing nothing but the best for you, and just God's covering on you just to keep you safe and protected, and laser focused on the big picture, man. Again, I just can't dismiss the fact that you're keeping God as your foundational basis. That's so important in this journey that you're on. And I'm just excited for you, man, and want nothing but the best. So for my listeners today, if you've enjoyed our show, the content that we've shared, please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share, do all of that, all of the above and then some. Tell people about
Like,
what we're
subscribe,
all about
comment,
here.
share.
Yes, absolutely. As you can
Definitely.
see, Blessings in the Streets podcast, we hit all ranges, all spectrums of people from all places and walks and talks and backgrounds, because at the end of the day, the premise is the same. We're here to inspire, to encourage, to uplift. My brother shared with you a powerful testimony, and you now had an opportunity to get to know him beyond his music, beyond his game right now that he's pursuing, his efforts. He's more of a complete package than that. His brother has the full gambit of what it's all about to be in this space that he's in right now. So, you know, get on top of that. Be with this brother, celebrate him, love on him, and support him if you can. So, with that said, keep in mind here that at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and where your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, God bless. Keep fighting that good fight. Don't let the struggles of life defeat you and keep you stuck. There is a way out. There is a way to overcome all that you come up against, because we have a God that is powerful, that is awesome, that is wonderful, and he loves you unconditionally. He wants nothing but the best for you. Open yourself up to him, lean into him, and I promise you, I'm not telling you something that I heard, I'm telling you that something that I know, that Will Beasy knows. He will make a way for you. He will make that pathway smooth, and he'll make it clear as to what it is that you are to do with your lives. It'll be the greatest decision that you ever make. So take care of yourselves. God bless.